said. I don't know, but
Yeah.
there was another night operation we went out on. This is several months ago. Once again, up in the northern section of LBL, and Mike actually took us in on into this area, and we first thing we encountered was coyotes, but also something cranking up the coyotes.
What was that?
We can't stay here. Let's move. Now.
But you know, if you're around that place very much, or a lot of places where coyotes are, you begin to sort of understand their yipping and howling and the things that they do, and you can pretty much pick them out. But if you listen closely, sometimes there will be a very long, loud, drawn out howl kind of sound.
Yep.
That the coyotes generally don't do that. And we were hiking in this area, and we were hearing them all over, and we heard at least a couple, maybe 3 times that very distinct initial howl. It really got them going. But we gone back in there pretty good ways, and we got to the end where there was an area that's protected that you're not supposed to go into, and that's where we stopped. And Mike said, I think I saw like a dark shape appear on the hill.
Hold up. There, on the ridge. Did you see that?
And he walks in there, and I'm looking at him with the thermal the whole time. I didn't see anything other than him, but he was very clear. And he spent a little bit of time back in there.
I'm gonna hike up to the ridge real quick, get a look.
You sure?
Yeah, I'll be right back.
Be careful, man.
Got him on thermal.
And then we hear a very distinct knock, one knock. And it was close. Everybody in our group, and there was probably 5 or 6 of us, maybe 7. We all heard it, because we all said, "Was that Mike?" And then I catch him coming back down at more of a faster pace, I'll say. He got back to us. We were like, "Did you do that knock?" He said, "No, I did not do that knock." So we're like, "Wow." We didn't get any more action at the time, but we go back like a week later or whatever in the daytime, and to survey the area closer. We go up to the top of the ridge where he had been, and we found a really nice tree structure made out of 3 or 4 different types of trees stacked in a particular way. We start walking around, we find all these other things like a tree bend. And at the end where the tree comes to the ground was an X right there at the tip. And we saw several of those type things like in that general area, but you walk, 100 yards and you don't see it anymore. So we're pretty sure there's something going on in that area. I don't know what, but was there a lot of sign there.
Do you know the dangers lurking in the dark? The demons and the devils that you harbor in
your heart. My but light shines in the dark. You be cutting, is it worth the ultimate price? My light shines in the dark.
All right, what's going on, everybody? How are we doing? I hope we're all having an awesome night. I know I am excited and super happy to be able to make this show happen. You know, we're kind of hitting on the subject a little bit right now with LBL because it's kind of fresh on my mind and stuff like that. But you know, we've been hitting that and kind of doing also shows that are like adjacent and people that I've met through there, and really trying to do our best to tease out some of this information and kind of, you know, whet the appetite, if you will, because I have some footage that I'm going to release very soon, and I want to make sure that we kind of do justice to the area. So one person that I've met about a year ago now at the Cryptic Expeditions premiere with Greg, you know, I've been friends on Facebook, and I've been seeing a lot of cool stuff that he's been getting up to out there. So I figured we need to have him on. This is the perfect time. So with that being said, let's welcome the great Randero.
Hello, Jim.
Hey, buddy. How are you doing?
Doing great. Let me start off by explaining the name, the Great Randero.
Sure.
I'm not a magician or a snake oil salesman or anything like that. My name is Randy Brooks. But long time ago, a friend of mine gave me this nickname because my grandfather, his name was D-Row. He was a very country farmer kind of guy and had a great sense of humor, and a lot of people knew him. And so my friend Jeff said, "You're just like D-Row. You're Rand D-Row." And I thought that was funny, and I sort of adopted that name, but added the Spanish flair to it, Randero. It sounded a little bit more cool than Randero. So I was on the podcast with Mike Smith and Mark Roberts the other night with the NCI guys out of North Carolina.
Yeah.
And they tagged me with that. So I gleefully take it on. It's the Great Randero.
Heck yeah. It sounds cool, man. I'm here for it. I'm here for it. Well, Randy, shoot, dude, you're out there all the time in the LBL. But before we get out there and, you know, start getting on that, tell us a little bit of who you are and where people can find you at.
Well, mainly Facebook. I don't do anything on any of the other social platforms. Don't do any X or Instagram or any of that stuff. I'm an older guy, so I'm just not hip with all of that. But Facebook, I'm on there a lot, and I know there's a bunch of garbage on Facebook, but just got to weed through it and get the good stuff out of it. So you can just find me on Facebook under my name, Randy Brooks, and be happy to friend you if you're a good person. And I'm sure you are. I actually live north of Nashville, a little place called, well, it's not a little place, it's pretty big now, called White House. We're not far from the Kentucky border, which puts me within an hour's drive of another place that we research some, and that's Mammoth Cave. We're also, I mean, we spend most of our time in Land Between the Lakes. That is by far my favorite location. But we also go out to Standing Stone. I don't know if you're familiar with Standing Stone. It's a state park between Gainesboro and Salina.
Yes.
It's,
Okay.
an area that this lady called Mary Green. Are you familiar with Mary Green?
No.
Mary Green was known as the Bigfoot lady. She's passed now, but that was her research area, was Standing Stone, and she had a habituation spot there somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
And she was also she co-wrote the book 50 Years with Bigfoot with Janice Carter. I don't know if you know Janice Carter or not, but
I've heard the name.
She's still around, and she still shows up at festivals and things occasionally. But yeah, pretty crazy story there. I won't get into that, but that's another area that we go to.
Right.
That's about 2 hours away. Another area that I'm interested in is Big South Fork, which is a 3.5 hour trip for us. So we get out there maybe twice a year, do some camping and hiking and stuff like that. But that's a wide open place that doesn't have as much history as like LBL. But if I was going to be a Bigfoot living somewhere, that's where I'd want to live.
Noted.
So we spend most of our time in LBL because it's only a couple of hours away. And we've developed a good group of friends and fellow researchers. We've actually formed a group called the Pathfinders. We're less than 6 months old, and we've been doing surveying areas that we have interest in, and making plans to go on multiple missions throughout the year, organized missions that has a purpose and meaning to it. We don't want to go out and just walk around in the woods, right. Although it's okay, it's fun.
Yeah,
we want to go out with a purpose and target a particular area. Go out with multiple teams with good communications, good equipment, and document what we experience, what we see, what we find, and be willing to share that. So many researchers are kind of like mum's the word with their work.
Right.
We want to open it up. I think we need to be sharing information as opposed to sitting on it. And so that's what we're endeavoring to do. And it's a good group with some super experienced people. I mean, people from law enforcement, from the military, just average people like myself, legends like Martin Groves. It's a group I'm proud to be a part of, and we've got a couple of Facebook pages. It's called Pathfinders Public. Anybody that's interested and wants to follow our group can go to Pathfinders Public on Facebook and see what we're all about, what we're doing, what we got planned, what we're finding.
Heck yeah, for sure. So people out there in YouTube land, go do that. Because I'm telling you, man, you guys got stuff all the time, and shoot, you're posting stuff all the time too, man. Like it's awesome. I love to see people, going out there and getting after it. It's very inspirational. So thank you for what you do, first of all.
Oh, thank you for being so complimentary. I got to mention some of my friends. Mike Smith is pretty popular, and he's become a really good friend, and has shared a lot of information with us, and has been very gracious to invite us along on a lot of his forays into the woods. And of course, he is one of our founding Pathfinder members, and also spends a ton of time there. And Mark Roberts is another one that lives only like 30 minutes away, who
Yeah.
he practically lives in the place, I think. Matter of fact, I think we're going to like vote him like mayor of LBL, but he really knows a lot about the place.
Oh yes.
And one thing I'll share with you. This is probably. Hang on just a second.
Sure.
Sorry, I had to get my little space heater a little closer.
No worries. Editing exists for a
up in
reason.
this area where I got the computer.
You're good.
This has been probably maybe a year and a half ago.
Mhm.
Mike told me about an experience he had while fishing with his family in one of the bays up in the northern area of LBL. He was fishing, and his wife, Kara, just jokingly said, "Hey, Bigfoot, just show us you're out there." And he said he hears this tree push over, like a tree falling or push over or something like that. Like, wow, that's pretty weird. So he wanted to go back there, hike in there, and see if he could find any kind of sign.
Yeah.
And so we all went hiking in there. They allowed me to come along, which is a lot of fun. And we're off trail, probably 2 miles off trail, just hiking through the woods, the hills, the hollers, and made it back to the bay that he had been fishing in. And the first thing that we found was the vertebrae of some kind of animal. I don't really know what it was. It could have been hog, I suppose. Could have been deer. We just couldn't determine for sure what kind of skeleton it was. And then we found all of these like turtle eggs that had been dug out of the gravelly area and apparently eaten, or I guess they break them and suck the insides out or whatever. There was tons of those things laying around. That could have been anything from a possum to a raccoon to armadillo, who knows what, or it could be something else. So we're looking over those things, and Mike says, I swear, I think I saw something up there between the trees. So we start walking up into the forest there to check that out. And I look down on the ground, and there is a reef, the kind like you would like put on a grave or hang on a door or something like that. You know what I'm talking about? Maybe, this big around, maybe, I don't know, bigger than a normal reef that you would just hang on your door for decoration.
Yeah.
And it was made out of not briars, but some other kind of green, viney type substance. And it was perfect wreath laying there on the ground.
Wow.
And then Mike's like, hey, here's another one over here. And just like a few feet from that, there was another one that was thicker, about the same size, but had more vinage in it. And it was sort of like leaned up against a stump. I'm like, well, that's very interesting. And because I'd never seen anything like that before. I mean, a human could easily do that. Obviously, but we're 2 miles off of even a hiking trail, and not a place that people would frequent. So we just stored that away in our memory as interesting. We left it there, didn't bother it. It would have been cool as a souvenir, but you don't know why it's there. You got to respect whoever made it. So we left it where it was. We didn't have any other experience there that I remember that day. But a couple of weeks after that, Mike goes back in there with another guy, Big Ray, and went back to the same spot, and they were gone. So what happened? We don't know, but we do see a pattern of that inland between the lakes. I used to not pay much attention to tree structures, glyphs, things formed out of like twigs and smaller trees and big X's and all that kind of stuff. Right. I didn't really pay much attention till Mike started pointing things out to me in an area that he frequented. And what he found and what I've experienced also is that you'll find areas that have these unusual things. It could be, a couple of different little tree things woven together, and maybe a little stick like balanced in the middle of it. Just things that, nature does a lot of crazy things, but
Sure.
you can look at something like that and think, I don't see how nature could have caused this at all, much less to take like a 4-inch twig broken off and balance it, on another one on the top.
Right.
But you'd see these things, and they'd be in a concentrated area. It's like when you walk out of the area, it's pretty obvious. You just don't see that stuff anymore. And you go back like weeks later, and it's gone.
Right.
But you find other structures and symbols maybe in another area close by. So I don't know. I pay attention to that a lot now, and we see that a lot at Land Between the Lakes.
For sure.
I don't know if it's young ones. I don't know if it's even Bigfoot at all, but I feel like it is.
I don't know. I'll say, like, I'm like you. Like, I didn't put any stock into that kind of stuff at all until I went and saw it, firsthand with Harley out in the Smokies, because, shoot, the tree structures that he showed me out there was just insane. And it takes, a level of intelligence and intent to do that. It goes beyond random so often, and shoot, I don't know. I know out there we saw prints within them and around them that were just huge. Had anomalous meter readings, like with the EMF and stuff like that, and spikes in and around them. Like, it's strange. And, I wonder if, I go down the woo with this stuff, and I would really like to know, like, if some of these could be, like, if you could stand back and, like, take a picture, right, and see how much of the stuff lines up with something, geometrical, or something along that line. Probably occultic if I had to guess, but of course there's the whole problem with perspective. If you're looking straight on at it, it might not necessarily be something that you can recognize. But if you get an aerial view of it, looking down on it, I wonder how much of the stuff lines up to things that we wouldn't expect it to line up with. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's a good point. That's not something I'd ever even thought of, but it would be cool if you go into one of these areas that you see significant sign, is to be able to put a drone up in the air and get a aerial view looking down upon it. You may very well, like you say, see some sort of a symbolic shapes or whatever.
Oh yeah.
We were in an area just a few weeks ago. Me and Mike and Mark and my wife, and once again our Squatch dog Smokey, and we're out exploring a new area. We were off a hiking trail near a bay, and stepped into one of those areas where you started seeing really interesting manipulations. The first one we saw was almost like, I called it like a looking glass, because when I was a kid, there was this show called Romper Room, and the lady that was in Romper Room was Miss Nancy, and this is way before your time, Jim.
Oh yeah.
She would hold up this. It was like a mirror, but the mirror was gone out of it. It was just the frame. That was her magical looking glass, and she would look through there, and if you like sent a letter into the show or whatever and told her your name, you might get called up in the looking glass. But it's crazy. But anyway, that's what we saw. And I should have beforehand sent you some of these pictures, but it was like this was maybe chest height walking through the woods, and it looked like a looking glass. It was had like a handle type area, and then it was woven between some other branches and stuff, and it was just right there.
Wow.
Yeah, it was really, really neat. Which reminds me of something I wanted to mention, and I got off on the reefs that we were talking about earlier. I was talking about this to another guy that I recently became familiar with. His name is Richard McCandlish. He has been a researcher for about 50 years. He's up in Hocking County, Ohio. That's the Hocking Hills area. Beautiful, beautiful place. And I've got to talk with him a couple of times on the phone since hearing him on Chris Reinhardt's podcast, Real American Monsters. He's got a lot of knowledge, and he mentioned wood talk. I'd never heard the term wood talk before. Have you ever heard of that?
No.
I asked the NCI guys also, and they're like, no, we never heard of that. Wood talk is, he said, it was taught to him by some Cherokee people that he knew. Wood talk is the formation of the things with the trees, the stuff that we're talking about. But he says it's a language. It means something.
Yeah.
And so I said, well, let me ask you about these reefs. I told him the story about finding these reefs. And he said, well, if you think about it, the forest people, the Sasquatch, the Bigfoot, the boogers, the hairy man, whatever you want to call them, have been around a long time. And, you know, they're known for observing man and man's activities. You know, you see man creating things. You see man being bad, you know, hurting each other. You see man burying their dead. And he said it could be that that area is where a Bigfoot has died, or could even be buried in the area. And I thought, well, that's a novel thought. I would have never that would have never crossed my mind.
Yeah.
We were talking about this on the NCI podcast, and one lady, is that you?
Yeah. I forgot to turn my alarms off. Sorry. Keep going.
I'm trying to remember her name. She's actually from Alabama. She made the comment that in Land Between the Lakes, there are tons of cemeteries, which we all know that. Yeah. Well, what is at those cemeteries decorating the graves? Reefs.
Yeah.
So maybe that's it. Maybe they're copying man.
I mean, it's possible. When you told me the story earlier, like my head actually went to the legends of the Green Man, right? Like in Celtic mythology. This is where people would be like, oh, there's not Bigfoot in England. Like, yes, there is. If you look at the Green Man history and all that legends, and that's essentially what you see is you see like this hairy man of the woods looking through a lot of times what is stylized by a reef, you know, with his head coming through it. And it's like, well, that doesn't necessarily connect culturally, I guess you could argue here. But then again, we look at other past works and say that wouldn't be true either, because think about Hellier, right? Like those like when things started getting a little bit crazy out there in Appalachians and Tennessee, I believe, you know, and we see like the shrines of the Green Man, of what these guys see and these people are interacting with, you know. And granted, is that connected? Lord, we're only speculating at this point, you know. But you know, that's where it took my mind at, and the stylized thing to that. And maybe not, I don't know. It's just as likely that they're making some kind of ornament for dead folks as well. Or
well, you know, when we ran upon those reefs, Mike Smith's wife Kara was with us. So were his daughters. But I said, Kara, you know, come up here and look at this. And she said, they're decorating.
Yeah.
So everybody's got a different possible idea, I suppose. I will throw this out there, because I know a lot of people don't take much stock in these type things as researchers, but anytime I see something like that, the first thing I want to do is try to explain it away.
Yes.
I want to, if there's any way I can make sense of it in the that nature could have formed it, that maybe someone in the area could have done it. That's where my mind's going to go to first. The last thing is going to be, well, this could be some intelligent creature or something out here doing this. So I do take it all with a grain of salt, but I've just seen so much of it. I do not believe that it's just random chance stuff. And I do believe it does have meaning, and it could be a language like Mr. McCandlish said. I don't know, but there was another night operation we went out on. This is several months ago. Once again, up in the northern section of LBL, and Mike actually took us in on into this area, and we first thing we encountered was coyotes, but also something cranking up the coyotes. This has happened to me. This is the second time, and you've probably encountered this yourself. But you know, if you're around that place very much, or a lot of places where coyotes are, you begin to sort of understand their yipping and howling and the things that they do, and you can pretty much pick them out. But if you listen closely, sometimes there will be a very long, loud, drawn out howl kind of sound. That the coyotes generally don't do that. I've listened to as much coyote vocalizations online that I can find, and they're just not that long and drawn out. I think it's something else. I think it's probably a Bigfoot that's doing it. Could be a dog man. I don't know what, but it really gets them jacked up and going. Very quick. And we were hiking in this area, and we were hearing them all over, and we heard at least a couple, maybe 3 times that very distinct initial howl. It really got them going. But we going back in there pretty good ways, and we got to the end where there was an area that's protected that you're not supposed to go into, and that's where we stopped. And Mike said, I think I saw like a dark shape appear on the hill, like maybe 100 feet from where we were standing. So we were on like a level, like road type area. You walk right into the woods, and it starts going up, not real steep, but it does go up to an incline and up to a ridge. And he walks in there, and I'm looking at him with the thermal the whole time. I didn't see anything other than him, but he was, very clear. And he spent a little bit of time back in there, and then we hear a very distinct knock, one knock. And it was close. Everybody in our group, and there was probably 5 or 6 of us, maybe 7. We all heard it, because we all said, was that Mike? And then I catch him coming back down at more of a faster pace, I'll say. He's coming back to us. Excuse me. He got back to us. We were like, did you do that knock? He said, no, I did not do that knock. So we're like, wow. We didn't get any more action at the time, but we go back like a week later or whatever in the daytime, and to survey the area closer. We go up to the top of the ridge where he had been, and we found a really nice tree structure made out of 3 or 4 different types of trees stacked in a particular way. We start walking around. We find all these other things like a tree bend. And at the end where the tree comes to the ground was an X right there at the tip. And we saw several of those type things like in that general area, but you walk, 100 yards and you don't see it anymore. So we're pretty sure there's something going on in that area. I don't know what, but was there a lot of sign there.
Yeah, for sure. Those tree bends, man, those are a trip. I don't. Yeah, I get it. There's something going on with that for sure. Especially like the ones that really stand out to me is like, and I experienced this in Bankhead for sure, multiple times in Tennessee too. But a lot of times, the tree would be bowed over, and somehow was pinned. And sometimes the tree is still alive, and you've got branches coming out the trunk, right, going up to the sun again,
which indicates it's been there a while.
Mm-hmm. And then other times, like what I saw in Bankhead, which was really weird, it was like that, and everything around it was alive, but this tree was the only thing that was dead, and everything is like literally dead. And when you look through the arch, right across the path, there's another one in the exact same condition. Yeah, I don't know what's going on with that, but it's interesting. It's very, very interesting.
Let me tell you this, since we were talking about the howls and stuff.
Sure.
The very first time that I ever went out with Mike Smith in the woods at night, it was on one of Charlie Raymond's expeditions. Okay. And Mike was there as a speaker. And so we had like 3 nights that we did expeditions, and I think it was the last night I wanted to go out with Mike. So there was, a small group, 7, 8 people, went with him, and we went to an area that he was familiar with. And actually where we've been doing a lot of our planning work for our next mission. And we basically parked in this off this road and hiked up the gravel road for probably, I don't know, mile, something like that. And the reason we did that because we didn't know if there was parking up there or not. Then we entered the woods and just follow the top of this ridge, which eventually goes to Kentucky Lake, and you got a bay on the left side. So we go back in there a ways and stop and listen. And I said, Mike, could we do a call or something? He said, sure, y'all do whatever you want to do. And so I can do a pretty good howl, pretty loud. That's fairly long. So I did my best scream howl kind of thing that I could come up with. And this was at night, of course, like probably 11 o'clock, close to midnight, something like that. So do this big howl. As soon as I stopped, we get a return instantly. And it sounded like it was like down in the hollow below us. Mike said he thought it was on an opposing ridge, but the point I'm making is it was super close because it was super loud, very long, very clear. There was no yips, yaps, or anything like that. It was just whoa, and then the coyotes start up, of course. Yeah, we're just like standing there looking at each other, and Mike is like, "That was no coyote." I didn't think it was either. It was weird, and it didn't seem scary at the time. It was more just like shocking, because I didn't expect something to answer back. I'd never had anything like that answer. Well, I did have one other occasion that something happened, but not exactly like that, where you're aggressively trying to do a call and you get immediately an answer back. And to me, it was like, you're in my neck of the woods. You can just take your little howl somewhere else, because I'm the bigger, badder howler in the woods.
Right.
We went on, and we did not go down to where the sound came from. I don't know why. Well, I do know why, but we didn't. We went farther out into the ridge and did some more howling and knocks and stuff like that. We got some more replies by the coyotes, but none of the big long one like we got initially. So that really got me interested in that area for sure. And trying to determine, what that was, listen to all kinds of coyote recordings to try to see if there was anything similar to it. And I couldn't find anything. It all just sounded like other Bigfoot recordings that I'd heard.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. That's very interesting. I guess one question I'd like to ask you about this is, you mentioned earlier like about just like the research areas that you frequent and stuff like that. What is it about the LBL to you that makes it, like kind of the one that you go to the most often besides proximity?
Well, it's a lot of things. One is there's not a lot of people there, especially if you go in the middle of the week as opposed to the weekend. There's just not that many people there. There's not many like park rangers, officers, anything like that. It's a very small amount, and it's 177,000 acres.
Right.
So that's a lot of ground to cover. So when you're out there, it's almost like you're in your own little private playground. And, the history that goes back to the people that used to live there and the bad blood about, the government coming in and using eminent domain and, forcing people out of there, and the all of the cemeteries, the legend and lore, which Martin will say it's not lore, it's stuff that actually happened. Right. The history of Indians in the area, battles. There's just a lot to that place. And not only is it beautiful from a nature aspect, it's just huge. And it's not like it's all the same. The terrain varies, the views vary, the type of foliage. Bama Murdoch calling.
Shout out.
Yeah, I mean, even the type of woods and the steepness of the hills to more rolling hills, and then all of the bays. You got wild hogs all over the place that you might run up on, as well as the regular stuff. I can't put my finger on just one thing. There's so many things. And it's like when you go in there, you've been there before. To get there, you got to cross over one of those long bridges, like over Barkley or over Kentucky Lake, unless, of course, you come in the north or south end. You can drive in, but just going across those big bridges and over that water, and it feels like you're coming into another world now. It's just different. And some places in there you go to that, like DeMumbers Bay. DeMumbers Bay has a history of bad stuff happening. It's way up on the northern end. It's on the Lake Barkley side. I went up there one time. I think it was a Saturday, and I was by myself. The wife couldn't go for whatever reason. And I went to DeMumbers Bay just to explore. And went down there's like a boat ramp and some primitive camping down there. And on the way back out, just maybe a quarter mile, there's a kind of a gravel road with a locked metal gate blocking it, so you can't get in there. I'm thinking, well, that's there for a reason. Somebody wants me to go in there.
Exactly.
So I parked and started hiking back in there, and just, got the hair on the back of my neck, just the chills. No particular reason. I didn't see anything, didn't hear anything other than a couple of deer.
Yeah.
But I just kept walking this gravel road that had the weeds all growing up in it. And I don't know, went back for maybe a mile or so, and then just turned around and came back out. It was some months after that I ran into Martin Groves up at the Wildman Festival in McMinnville.
Mhm.
And I said, Martin, what can you tell me about this place? And he said, I know exactly where that is. That used to be, they used to lead to a camping area.
Mhm.
And there was a lady with a couple of children that supposedly got murdered or killed up in there. So they shut it off. And he said people will sometimes see the apparition of this lady in some sort of light colored dress or something
Yeah.
up in there. So I don't know, I don't know about all that stuff, but I certainly got a creepy feeling. And that's one area that Mike said, he said, that's an area that I will not take my family to.
Yeah.
And there's one other, he said, I don't want them around Demumbers Bay. And Martin's got some good stories about Demumbers also.
Yeah. I've heard him talk about that one a good bit. Him and Moore both. It's interesting, and you bring up the bridges. Like, man, I don't know what it is about that place, but as soon as you cross those bridges, like, it feels like another world. You feel it. I don't know what it is about that place, but it's an interesting one.
It is, and there's places that it's fallen into disrepair over the years. I think it was TVA was the organization that used to manage it, and it was taken over by the forestry department, and everything started kind of going downhill after that. Earlier we were talking about Rushing Creek, and we can come back to that if you want to. But there's a lot of areas there. Like if you ever go to the Nature Center up on the north end, there's a hiking trail that goes around to Honkers Lake, which is a beautiful lake, and also Hematite Lake is nearby. You ought to go there just for the beauty. They have these humongous like lily pads like all over the lake with big yellow flowers growing out of them. But if you do that Honkers Lake loop, you'll see there was a place where they used to rent canoes, and the canoes are still there. They're chained up. There's a building there where they, I guess took your money or whatever. It's all there, but it's just not used anymore. And you go on around further, and there is a big yurt. You know what a yurt is? Big canvas round thing. Sorry.
It's all good.
And it's fallen into disrepair. It's just used for like storing things in now. But there's stuff like that all over Land Between the Lakes. It's kind of interesting to walk through there and see things that, you could tell this was an active spot. There were things going on here over at Mount Pleasant Cemetery. I think I got that right, where the ambush beast of the LBL legend happened. All kinds of cement block structures and things. People used to call them like they were like, people built them because they were hunting dogman and they had to have somewhere to hide or something like that. It wasn't that. It's remnants of a campground,
right?
And shower houses and things like that. But it's just kind of cool to walk around and see all this stuff.
Oh yeah.
There's a dog's grave there. Kind of an odd thing, but there's a stone it's like a tombstone for a dog just out in the middle of nowhere. Just an odd thing. But there's lots of odd things there.
Pet cemetery vibes aside, that does sound very interesting. I mean, that place is neat, and there's just so much history, and gosh, the people that are able to retain all that are just amazing to me. I don't know how they do it, but there's so much going on, so much. And one thing I want to ask you about is, because we've been talking about this a little bit, me and my friends, and trying to kind of wrap our heads around it a bit. Now, we've all noticed, our experience aside, that there's been a lot more people talking about crawlers of late in that area. Have you had any run-ins with them at all?
No, but I can tell you a story possibly about a crawler. I've never seen one. I've never seen a Bigfoot or a dog man. My
we
wife
gotta
has been
change that.
sighting. But the expedition that I was mentioning earlier that Mike Smith took us out on, I met a guy there. His name was Joe Ballou. Joe Ballou's a fantastic guy. I'd never met him before. He was actually the cook there, but we ended up going out a couple of nights together.
Yeah. And
found out he only lives about 30 minutes from me. So after that expedition, we're back home doing our thing. And Joe contacts me. He said, did you see, that thing on Hip Springfield? Springfield is where he lives. And it's a Facebook thing, Hip Springfield. And I'm like, no. And I found what he was talking about. It was some lady had started this chat on this site. And she said, I was coming down the road that goes by Kreisel School. It's an elementary school close to Springfield last night. And the truck in front of me swerved. And then I make a turn. And when I made a turn, my lights illuminated this creature that was by this tree in a person's yard. And she said at first it was on four legs. Then it stood up and ran off. And she said it was very slender, skinny, pale in color, almost white, and just maybe a little tuft of hair on top of the head. That was about it.
Yeah.
Which sounded just like a crawler to me.
Yeah.
So Joe and I actually went up there to investigate. She sent me a picture of the location where this occurred, and we went up there to check out the area and an area in behind all of that, because I found out once again from Martin that when he was on patrol as deputy sheriff, they used to get calls for stuff going up in that area all the time. And we've lost Jim. I don't know if anyone can hear me or not. I don't know if Jim can hear me, but I'm still here. And we'll continue as soon as Jim comes back.
Sorry.
All right, you're back.
Yeah. The gremlins came out. I don't know why it just booted me all of a sudden, but keep going.
Well, I was just talking about Martin said when he was deputy sheriff, they used to get calls up in that area all the time of people seeing weird stuff. And he told me about a road that we could go on that goes in behind the elementary school. And he said we used to go back there and sit and watch sometimes, and we actually found some tracks to some kind of creature back in there, like it was like looking at the kids at the school or something. I don't know.
Right.
But so we drive around, we look at all that stuff, and we come back and pull up into the driveway of the house. And we wanted to possibly chat with these people. Well, they had a pit bull that was not chained up, that was loose, and I didn't want to get out of the truck, and neither did Joe. So we just sat there hoping that somebody would see us and come out. And eventually this older gentleman came out and came up to the truck, and we were trying to talk to him, and he wasn't speaking back. And Joe says, I think he's deaf. And sure enough, he goes into the house, and he comes back out with this little boy that's maybe 11 years old, I'm guessing. He said, that's my grandfather. He's deaf. And I said, well, look, I don't want to scare you or anything, but we're just investigating something that was seen out here in your yard. And he said, well, what was it? And I was hesitant to describe it because I didn't want to, frighten the boy.
Yeah.
But I described it, and he said, "Well, we've never seen anything like that around here." And then it gets even stranger. Then he holds up his phone, and apparently it's his mother who is in the house.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if she's sick. I don't know what's going on, but we're FaceTiming now. And so I tell her what's going on. And she said, "Well, we've never seen anything like that around here, but if we did, I'd probably just shoot it."
Right.
And I'm thinking, well, I guess that's an appropriate response.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, I don't, I apologize for disturbing you. We're not trying to frighten anybody. We're just trying to, follow up on this. And she did say one other thing. She said, if anything like that was around, it probably came out of those caves around here. And there are a lot of caves around there.
Yeah.
And that's the last we heard or did anything about all of that. But that's the closest thing to a crawler. And there were a lot of people that got in on that chat that had seen something similar, maybe in another area. Other people that, well, like the person that swerved in the truck, actually ended up on that chat and said, I'm the person that was in the truck, and I saw it too. And it wasn't a dog, it wasn't a coyote, it was a lot bigger than that. So I don't know, Jim. It's all you can do is wonder about something like that.
Right. Yeah. It's one of those questions, that we've kind of all been talking about for the last couple years. And I remember Barton got really good footage of one out there, but I mean, the reason I bring it up is because, the frequency of reports of these things have been increasing from the area, and, we've all kind of had our, off the camera speculations, kind of trying to wrap our heads around the why of it, and, some of us are kind of starting to wonder, like, if it's almost like maybe some kind of like parasitic infestation type thing where, things are just changing a little bit, and we're wondering, like, just why more crawlers of late versus, the Bigfoot or the dog man.
I don't know. I have no theory on it, but other than I don't see it as anything good.
Right. That's what we're all saying too, is like, we don't know, but it's not good.
Yeah.
Those things are creepy, man.
Yeah. I mean, I've never heard of anyone being attacked or anything like that. Well, with the exception, there was a audio and video going around the internet of this guy up in, I think it was in North Carolina, that called in like a 911 type call, and said something jumped in his truck. He saw this thing on the side of the road, and it jumped in his truck, and he was like screaming out, "It's not human! It's not human!" And I don't know what that was all about, if it was even legitimate. But did you see that by chance?
I think I know exactly what you're talking about. I'm pretty sure I've heard the audio at the very least. But
that would probably be my response too if I saw something like that.
Yeah, for sure. It's a hard one to say, man. I don't know. Like I said, it's just been one of those questions that we've kind of just all been kind of trying to wrap our heads around of the why. Not really sure if it's a chicken or egg situation. They all, you get a lot more reports of these things anyways with cave systems, and Lord knows there's plenty of that going on in LBL too. And we're kind of just trying to figure out, like, is it like a government thing? Like, is this like a 3D printed meat suit type situation, and they're trying to clear out some of the other things that's been historically going on there? Or is it like more of a sign of the times kind of thing, and just more of these things coming out? And shoot, we could only sit here and speculate and be like, well, maybe these things play well together. I don't know. I'm not one to make that judgment call. I just wanted to kind of get your thoughts on it, see what you thought about it, really.
I'm in the same boat that you're in, and I lean more towards the maybe the spiritual side of it. That this, maybe a sign of the times that things are being released or coming forth.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't want to sound too crazy, but
it's okay on the show. Go ahead.
I will say this. I come from a very conservative Christian teaching.
Yeah.
And my mind has expanded a ton on the whole idea of the supernatural.
Yeah.
And a lot of this stuff fits into that category.
Oh yeah.
I believe. And, here in the West, especially in churches in the West, that supernatural mindset does not exist in most denominations.
Sadly,
some that it does, but I know we had a missionary come to our church that we support, and he's in Africa, in Zambia. It's either Zambia or Tanzania. And afterwards, we were having potluck, and I sat down beside him, was talking to him, and I didn't tell him what I was into or nothing like that. But I asked him about the supernatural things.
Yeah.
And he said, I come from a very conservative background where that sort of thing is just not talked about. But he said, since I've been in Africa, I've seen things that I cannot explain. There's no explanation for it from, just logic or Western thinking. Things like, like healings or witch doctors or who knows what. There's all kinds of, the supernatural to them is just like, that's it. It's every day.
Yeah, it's another
There's
Tuesday.
No separation.
Right.
So I study about that a lot. Listen to a lot of Michael Heiser. I don't know if you're familiar.
Love me some Heiser.
Yeah, he's
yes.
He's opened my eyes about a lot of things, and I'm sure I'm sad that he's passed on, transitioned on, but he left a lot of good material for us.
Oh yes, shoot, just general recommendation. Look at the book. Was it the first one, Supernatural? Like that's a great baseline to go from, and me personally, like my very favorite book though is Reversing Hormone, or Herman, however you want to pronounce it. But yeah, I've learned so much from that guy. That guy is the best.
Do you ever listen to a podcast called Blurry Creatures?
I've heard clips. I've heard plenty of clips. I honestly don't have much time to listen to all the podcasts that I used to since starting this, but I catch plenty of things.
They have some really good, super good guests on there, and they're it started out as a Bigfoot podcast, but they're both Christian fellas, and it's morphed into more of cryptid, Nephilim, supernatural kind of podcast. So I think you'd really enjoy some of the guests that they have on there. And they're actually out in Nashville.
Oh, real cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Blurry Creatures.
Yeah. Here's the thing though, with, kind of what we were talking about is, I hit on this a little bit with the audience periodically. I do my best to not hit everybody over the head with the Bible, although that is where I come from and that's the lens I view all of this on.
Right.
No apologies there. But, I'll remind folks, that the frequency in which we are seeing reports, it does not surprise me at all. And we can go and say, Oh, well, it's a symptom of internet, social media, stuff like that. Groups can come together and talk about this more. Like, yeah, I think that is part of it. But, I'll just remind everybody that nobody knows the time or the hour of the end, right?
Correct.
So what we see in Revelations, though, is once that happens, is we see that the beasts of the field go off and, unalive a humongous chunk of the entire population of the world. Not just America, even though, yes, we are technically in the Bible too, but that's a different subject. But in order to do, it's either a third or a fourth of the population, the number's escaping me. In order to do that, I mean, that requires a little bit of an army of things, And the interesting part of that is this whole beast of the field anyways, right? Because when we look at that, traditionally here, I remember, it was probably like growing up my parents listening to Jack Van Impe or something, being like, "Oh, your little dog is going to get possessed and just rip your throat out one night." Like, no. That's not how that actually plays out, because the word that's used there that we translate from is therion. And it's where we get the word therianthrope from. What it's describing is, a beast man type thing, or a chimeric type thing that does all this, and these things are so terrifying that, it's described in Revelation, like when you look at them, your courage will fail, your heart will fail, like you're gonna like literally unalive from a heart attack, because these things are just insane. And in order to be able to implement this, whenever the restraint is lifted, you're going to have a large amount of these things out there. And we know where they like to hang out, in desolation, where there's not many people out. I mean, shoot, you can even make that a little bit more interesting and be like, well, it looks like the government signed a deal with these things and allows them to operate out of the state parks. It's no surprise to me the frequency in which these things are happening at this point, because it's got to be maintained so that it can happen. Is it a sign of the times? Maybe.
Who knows?
Maybe. But I know that either way, that's why, historically speaking, things have never really chilled out of these areas. It's no surprise to me that there's always a history of this stuff from these areas, and I think LBL, I don't know if it's anywhere that's in my mind that's any more special than any of the others.
Sorry.
Good. But the frequency and amounts of all of the stuff that's reported from there is concerning. And I say all that basically to say, you guys go out there and have fun and enjoy creation, but be mindful. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Be careful. And like I said earlier, thank you for going out there and doing your best to document and bring something back for the people, so that way that they're aware and have something to chew on. So Randy, I appreciate it, and I appreciate everything you do. Share for us one more time where they can find you on the Facebooks.
Just look my name up, Randy Brooks. That's it. I'm on there a lot, so I'll be watching out if anybody wants to pop up and be friends or whatever, and want to promote our group, the Pathfinders.
Right.
Anyone can join us on the Pathfinders public page on Facebook and see what we're doing. That's
Heck
about
yeah.
it. Other than that, I'm out running the roads.
There you go. Awesome. Well, bro, thank you so much for coming on and doing this. I really, really appreciate you. And just hang out 1 second in the green room, and we'll be right back, okay?
Okay, thanks for having me, Jim.
Thank you, brother. Awesome. Well, guys, that was Randy, and like I said, he's out there all the time. So, I always want to get, the thoughts and opinions of everybody that's, boots on the ground out there, because they're the ones out there like really being about it, right? That are out there and getting into it all the time. So it's always good to hear, what's up, and yeah, LBL. It's one of those things, man. Like when you go out there, you'll get bit by the bug. You'll want to go back because it's drawing me. You know, like just going out there once was enough to get bit by the bug for me. Like I want to know why. Like I said, you know, earlier, I don't know that there's anything in particularly too special because there's plenty of places that you can really, you know, come into contact with these things or whatever verbiage you wish to attach to it. But the amount and frequency that's happens there is noteworthy, you know, like, or at least, you know, as far as, you know, east of the Mississippi, you know, there's a lot going on, you know, and I don't know what it is. And, you know, that's one of those like little mysteries, you know, that I kind of want to know about, you know. That's why I'm always so happy to go out there and, you know, and hear from folks that are out there all the time because it really tickles my tism, really tickles it. So yeah, and you know, I hope that we could get a little bit from that, you know, pull the strings a little, you know, the tree formations and the X formations and the reef, you know, that's interesting. That sent me down a little bit of a squirrel chase, you know, and I'm sure there's so much more that I will chew on and think about as the day goes by. I'd be like, ooh, should have talked about that. Ooh, should have talked about that. You know, I like to, I like that. I like doing that. You know, those mental exercises are fun for me, and I hope for you guys too. You know, and if there's anything that I am missing, please drop it in the comments. You know, give me another squirrel, please. I love it. I love it. You know, and yeah, get a hold of Randy. If you guys got stories out there too, you know, get a hold of him. You know, give him places to go to and visit, especially with the Pathfinders thing. Like, you know, they're putting together an awesome little crew, you know, and go check them out on the Facebook, follow them, get involved if you want to get involved, you know. It's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. I love it. I love it. Getting out in the field is so much fun. So much fun. I love it. Yeah. But anyways, I've waxed on poetically enough. You know, I hope you guys found that as interesting and fun as I did. Well, with all that being said, guys, you know the drill. You know, go do the things for me. Leave the comments, leave the likes, hype. Go do the things. Go check out the membership so you all get, you know, early views of my expeditions to the field before I present together a polished little nice thing for you. Because I love the field. It's so much fun. But yeah, go do the things. I love y'all. Thank y'all so much for coming and hanging out. It's always such a joy. And if you guys got stories, you know, reach out to me. I'd love to hear it. If you guys have somebody that you would like for me to reach out to and get on the show, let me know. Drop it in the comments or send me an email. Shoot me something on Messenger. Either way, I'm super easy to get a hold of. Super easy. Guys, I love you. Tookie. And exciting things are on the horizon. So, peace.
The beacons are lit! The people call for aid!
Night's Watch will answer.
Ride on my heathens. Time to break the binding chains.
Enough of feasting. The hour for comfort has passed.
Only freedom now remains. Breaking all the chains.